Mark Wahlberg possessed an intensity that burned from within. Even as a child, a restless energy propelled him, sometimes toward trouble, sometimes toward ambition. He had a magnetic charisma, a streetwise savvy honed in the unforgiving neighborhoods of Dorchester. He was fiercely loyal to his family and friends, a protector, a fighter. But beneath the tough exterior lived a vulnerability, a yearning for something more, a desire to break free from the cycle of poverty and violence that threatened to consume him. This complex mix of resilience and raw emotion would later define his career and shape his journey to redemption. He was always striving, always pushing, driven by an unwavering belief in his own potential, even when others doubted him. He carried his past with him, not as a burden, but as a reminder of where he came from and how far he had climbed. Where are you watching us from? Write about it in the comments. Please like and subscribe to the channel. The latest news today focused on a figure who captivated audiences worldwide, Mark Wahlberg. But before the Hollywood fame, before the blockbuster movies and the successful business ventures, there was Marky Mark. He was born in Dorchester, Massachusetts, the youngest of 9 children. Growing up in a working-class family, life was far from easy. He witnessed firsthand the struggles of poverty and the allure of the streets. He fell in with the wrong crowd, and as a teenager, his life took a dark turn. The news now often glossed over this chapter, but it was integral to understanding the man he became. He dropped out of high school and became involved in petty crime, which escalated into more serious offenses. At 16, he was convicted of assault and spent 45 days in jail. It was a turning point. He later described his time in prison as a wake-up call, a stark realization of the path he was on and the consequences of his actions. This experience fueled a burning desire to change his life. With the unwavering support of his older brother, Donnie, who was already experiencing success with New Kids on the Block, Mark began to explore a different path. He joined the group for a short time, but quickly realized that music was his own calling. He reinvented himself as Marky Mark, a hip-hop artist known for his provocative lyrics and his physique. He burst on the music scene with the hit Good Vibrations, which reached #1 on the Billboard charts. The showbiz news today was filled with stories about the controversial new artist, Marky Mark. However, music wasn't his ultimate destination. He possessed a natural charisma and screen presence that caught the attention of filmmakers. He made his acting debut in the television film The Substitute in 1993. His early roles showcased his intensity and his ability to play tough, streetwise characters. His breakthrough role came in 1995 in the film The Basketball Diaries, where he starred alongside Leonardo DiCaprio. The movie and showbiz industry took notice of his talent. He followed this with a series of critically acclaimed performances, including his portrayal of a troubled young man in Fear in 1996 and his role as a porn star in Boogie Nights in 1997. These roles demonstrated his range as an actor and his willingness to take risks. He quickly established himself as a leading man in Hollywood, starring in a diverse range of films, from action movies to comedies to dramas. He consistently delivered compelling performances, earning critical acclaim and box office success. His commitment to his craft was evident in his dedication to physical preparation and his ability to fully embody his characters. Watch news reports from that time, and his dedication to acting was constantly praised. Beyond his acting career, he also became a successful producer and businessman. He founded his own production company, Closest to the Whole Productions, which produced films such as Entourage, Boardwalk Empire, and The Fighter. He was a savvy businessman, always looking for new opportunities to invest and grow his empire. Despite his success, he never forgot his roots. He remained deeply connected to his family and his community. He established the Mark Wahlberg Youth Foundation, which provides resources and support to at-risk youth in Boston and beyond. He was passionate about giving back and helping young people avoid the mistakes he made. His transformation was a testament to the power of redemption. His faith played an integral role in his life. He was a devout Catholic and often spoke openly about the importance of his faith in keeping him grounded and guiding him. He attended church regularly and credited his faith with helping him overcome his past struggles. The latest showbiz news often touched on his strong religious beliefs. Mark Wahlberg's journey was a remarkable one, a testament to the power of perseverance, determination, and faith. He overcame a troubled youth and a criminal past to become a respected actor, producer, and businessman. He was a role model for many, demonstrating that redemption is possible and that pasts could be rewritten. The showbiz news Russian showbiz rarely covered his personal struggles, focusing instead on his Hollywood success. He showed the world that it was possible to rise above difficult circumstances and achieve your dreams. He was a testament to the power of second chances. He never shied away from his past, but used it as a motivation to strive for something better. He was proof that even those who have made mistakes can turn their lives around and make a positive impact on the world. New's latest showbiz news often highlighted his charitable work and his commitment to helping others. Mark Wahlberg's story was a beacon of hope, a reminder that everyone deserves a second chance. He was an inspiration to countless individuals around the world, proving that with hard work, determination, and faith, anything is possible. He left an indelible mark on the world of entertainment and beyond, not just as an actor, but as a symbol of redemption and the transformative power of the human spirit. The world would remember him not for his mistakes, but for his unwavering commitment to becoming a better man. He was, and always would be, a testament to the power of hope. The latest news focused on his legacy of resilience. He was, and always would be, a testament to the power of hope. And you know what? That's how I always saw him too. Not the headlines, not the movie star, but the guy who clawed his way out. The guy who proved everyone wrong. I remember one time, years ago, before any of this crazy Hollywood stuff, I saw him at a local diner, just sitting there eating breakfast alone. He looked tired, not just physically, but like he was carrying the weight of the world on his shoulders. I almost didn't recognize him without the flashbulbs and the entourage. But I knew that face. That's the face I saw in the old neighborhood, the one etched with struggle and determination. I thought about going over, saying something, anything, but I chickened out. I didn't want to intrude. Looking back, I wish I had. You know, sometimes I wonder if he ever really escaped that old life, if the demons ever really stopped chasing him. I imagine even with all the success, all the accolades, there was always that part of him, that kid from Dorchester, looking over his shoulder, wondering when it would all come crashing down. God, I remember the buzz when Boogie Nights came out. Everyone was talking about him, and it was more than just, wow, he's a good actor. It was like he's real. He brought something raw and vulnerable to that role that you just couldn't fake. It was like he was laying bare his own soul for everyone to see. Did you see that movie? I'll never forget it. It felt like I was watching someone I knew, someone I understood. It was bizarre. Then there was The Fighter, that one hit close to home. Two brothers fighting their way out of the same circumstances he fought his way out of. That movie felt personal. It felt like he was telling his own story, just through different characters. I bet he saw a lot of himself in those characters, didn't he? Maybe it was even therapeutic for him, in a way. I can't even begin to imagine. I heard a story once from someone who worked on that movie that he was incredibly involved in every aspect of the production. Not just the acting, but the writing, the directing, the casting. He wanted to make sure it was authentic, that it captured the real spirit of that world. He didn't want to sanitize it. He didn't want to sugarcoat it. He wanted to show it like it was. Real, raw, and unflinchingly honest. And you know what's crazy? Even after all the success, all the fame, he still came back. He still showed up at the local haunts, still supported the community. He never forgot where he came from. That's what I always respected about him. He could have easily turned his back on all of it, pretended like it never happened. But he didn't. He embraced it. He used it. He became a symbol of hope for so many people who felt like they were stuck in the same situation he was once in. Did you know that? People truly believed in him. There was this one time, I think it was around 2010 or 11. I was volunteering at a soup kitchen in Dorchester, and he just walked in. No fanfare, no câmeras, no publiciste. Just him. He spent the whole afternoon serving food, talking to people, listening to their stories. He didn't treat them like charity cases. He treated them like people, like he was one of them. It was really moving to see. I was shocked, starstruck, speechless. And the kids, man, the kids loved him. He spent so much time working with the youth in the community, trying to steer them away from the same mistakes he made. He'd tell them his story, not to glorify it, but to show them the consequences of their actions. He'd tell them that there was another way, that they could break the cycle. He always said he was no different than them and could reach new heights. I always wondered what kind of impact it had, you know? I think that's what he wanted to be remembered for. Not the movies, not the music, not the money, but for the impact he had on people's lives, for the hope he gave them, for the way he showed them that it was possible to change, to overcome, to become something better. But it wasn't easy for him, I'm sure. Imagine the pressure, you know? To be a role model, to be a symbol of redemption, to constantly have your past scrutinized and analyzed. That's so much. It must have been exhausting. Did you ever think about that? I remember reading an interview with him once where he talked about his faith. He said that his faith was what kept him grounded, what gave him the strength to keep going even when things got tough. I don't know. I always found that inspiring. He made sure everyone knew it. He always said that his biggest regret was hurting his family. I remember reading that years ago, and it stuck with me. He always seemed to be trying to make up for it, to be a good father, a good husband, a good son. He really valued his family. I saw a picture of him and his mom once. It was just a candid shot, taken at a red carpet premiere or something. But the look on his face, the way he looked at her, it was pure love. And she looked so proud. It makes me wonder, you know, what she thought of all of it. From him getting in trouble to becoming this huge star. He came so far, you know? What do you think he would have been doing now if things were different? I mean, besides movies, family. I don't know. I always wondered. He was a man of many talents. It's hard to believe. It feels like a piece of the city is missing, you know? Something iconic. It feels like a piece of the city is missing, you know? Something iconic. I'll tell you something else that always struck me. It wasn't just his acting, it was his work ethic. He was relentless. I heard he'd be on set at, like, 4 in the morning, hitting the gym before anyone else even woke up. He was obsessed with getting everything right. He pushed himself harder than anyone else because he knew that he had to prove himself every single time. He knew that people were always going to be looking at his past, judging him. So he had to be twice as good, twice as dedicated just to stay in the game. And then there was the business side of things. The restaurants, the production company, the fitness stuff. He wasn't just a pretty face, he was a shrewd businessman. He had a real knack for identifying opportunities and making them work. I'm sure he learned a lot just by observing. It all seemed natural to him. I remember seeing him interviewed about his business ventures, and he was so articulate, so knowledgeable. It was clear that he wasn't just putting his name on something, he was actively involved in every aspect of it. He was a machine. Where did he find the time? What would you do if you were him? He always seemed to be juggling a million different things, but he managed to pull it all off. And he did it with this incredible energy and enthusiasm that was just contagious. He wasn't showing it off. He loved it. It's just, I don't know. It made you believe that anything was possible. He made you think it too, that if he could do it, so could you. I used to see him jogging around the neighborhood sometimes. He'd always have his headphones on, his face all scrunched up in concentration. He never waved, never stopped. He was in his own world. I wonder what he was listening to. What was going through his head? Was he thinking about his? Do you? But I always got the sense that he was constantly pushing himself, constantly striving for something more. It's like he was never satisfied. He was always searching. Always searching for what? I never knew. Maybe he didn't either. I think a lot of people underestimated him. They saw the muscles, the tattoos, the tough guy persona. They assumed he was just another Hollywood stereotype. But he was so much more than that. He was intelligent, articulate, and incredibly driven. He had a real depth to him that a lot of people didn't see. What do you think people will say now? What's going to be remembered? I think what a lot of people missed was his sense of humor. He had this dry, sarcastic wit that could catch you off guard. I think he used it as a defense mechanism, a way to deflect attention away from his vulnerabilities. But if you paid attention, you could see it. He was funny. He wasn't just some dumb guy. He was actually very funny and always used humor. It's strange, isn't it? How someone could be so famous, so successful, and yet still feel so human. He always seemed so approachable, so down to earth. I don't know. Maybe that was just an illusion. Maybe he was putting on a show for the cameras. But I always got the sense that he was the real deal. He was just a guy from Dorchester who made good. You know? He proved a lot of people wrong. He showed that it was possible to overcome adversity and achieve your dreams. He was an inspiration to so many people. And now it is done. I guess we will only ever see the work that's already complete. And now it is done. I guess we will only ever see the work that's already complete. Did you ever see that interview where he talked about his regrets? I think it was with Oprah, maybe? He was really raw and honest about the mistakes he made when he was younger. He didn't try to excuse them. He didn't try to minimize them. He owned them. He said that he spent years trying to make amends for the pain he caused. And I think that's what redemption is all about, isn't it? It's not just about saying you're sorry. It's about actively trying to make things right. Do you think he really managed to move past it all, the past? I hope so. He deserves it. I think that's why people connected with him so deeply. Because they saw him as someone who had been through the ringer and come out the other side. They saw him as someone who understood their struggles, who knew what it was like to face adversity. He wasn't just some untouchable celebrity. He was someone who felt like he was one of them. I think his faith really guided him. It showed him the right path when he needed guidance. It's like people trusted him. They thought to themselves, he's all right now. He knows what's what. It gave him that extra bit of credibility. Have you ever felt like that about anyone famous? I've felt that about him. It made him approachable, somehow, and that made him that little bit more iconic. I remember reading some interviews, and I heard this from a friend who worked on set with him once, that he would send gifts to people around Christmas time, all sorts of strange gifts, really expensive ones. He was a funny guy. I think I'm going to miss his humor most of all. He really could make me laugh without even trying. He was always so understated with his humor. It was so dry. I just think that's what everyone's going to remember. His dry humor and his generosity. He gave a lot back to the community. I think he really wanted the community to do well. He didn't want anyone to go down the same path as him. It was almost like a mission. I wonder who will take his place as the guy for the neighborhood. It's so strange that he had this whole other life. He made sure that nobody was going to be left behind. He really cared about people, and he never let anyone forget that. Do you think he will be remembered for his caring nature or his dry wit? I guess it depends on who you ask. I'll remember him for both. It's difficult to think about, isn't it? It's difficult to think about, isn't it? He just seemed like he would be around forever. A fixture like, the old church on the corner or the Cheers bar. Something that was always there. I guess nothing is forever. It's something to think about. What is going to last? What are people going to remember in 100 years? 200 years? It just puts everything in perspective. The small dramas we worry about every day, the petty squabbles, the things that seem so important at the time. In the end, none of that really matters. It's the big things, the things that impact other people's lives, the things that leave a lasting legacy. Those are the things that truly count. That is real redemption. But what makes a real lasting legacy? It's hard to say for sure. It's more than just money, more than just fame. It's about the impact you have on the world, the lives you touch, the difference you make. And I think he made a difference. He really did. He showed people that it's possible to overcome your past and create a better future. He gave them hope, and that's a powerful thing. I think they saw themselves in him. Not the movie star, the criminal who went to jail, the nobody from nowhere. And he went on to do great things. He gave him a goal to aim for. How do you think it felt for him? To be that beacon of hope. Do you think it felt good? What would you do if you were in his position? I think that's a huge responsibility, to be a role model for so many people. To know that your actions are being watched and scrutinized, that people are looking to you for guidance and inspiration. I don't know if I could handle that. I think I'd crumble under the pressure. I think he probably felt the pressure too, but he never showed it. He just kept pushing forward, kept striving to be better. Do you think he ever felt like he was living up to people's expectations? I wonder if he thought that sometimes. It must have been really difficult. Do you think he ever felt trapped by his own image? I wonder if he regretted becoming so famous? If he wished he could just go back to being the anonymous kid from Dorchester. Kristen Stewart possessed a rare intensity. Even as a child, she seemed to carry a weight, an awareness that belied her years. She wasn't bubbly or precocious in the typical Hollywood mold. Instead, she observed, absorbed, and then, when the camera rolled, she unleashed a torrent of raw, unfiltered emotion. There was a vulnerability in her eyes, a quiet rebellion in her stance, and an undeniable talent that even her earliest roles couldn't fully contain. This was Kristen Stewart, and the world was just beginning to understand her complexity. Where are you watching us from? Write about it in the comments. Please like and subscribe to the channel. The latest news rippled through the world of cinema today. Kristen Stewart, a name synonymous with both mainstream success and independent artistry, was born in Los Angeles, California, on April 9, 1990. From the very beginning, she was surrounded by the movie and showbiz world, with her father working as a stage manager and television producer. This early exposure, however, didn't necessarily translate into a desire for the spotlight. Instead, it seemed to foster a deep understanding of the craft, the long hours, and the dedication required. Her career began at the tender age of 8, with an uncredited role in the Disney Channel movie The 13th Year. Small parts followed, showcasing her innate ability to connect with the camera. But it was her performance in the 2002 thriller Panic Room, alongside Jodie Foster, that truly announced her arrival. She was just 12 years old, yet she held her own against a seasoned actress, displaying a maturity and intensity that were remarkable. Then came Twilight. This movie and showbiz phenomenon launched Kristen Stewart into a different stratosphere of fame. Overnight, she became a household name, her face plastered on magazine covers, her every move scrutinized. The role of Bella Swan, the brooding and conflicted teenager caught in a supernatural love triangle, brought her both adoration and criticism. Some admired her portrayal of Bella's internal struggle, while others felt it was too understated, too reserved. But amidst the whirlwind of Twilight, Kristen Stewart never lost sight of her artistic integrity. While fulfilling her contractual obligations to the franchise, she actively sought out roles in independent films that challenged her, that allowed her to explore the full range of her talent. She starred in films like Adventureland, a coming-of-age story set in a 1980s amusement park, and The Runaways, where she played the iconic rocker Joan Jett. These roles were crucial in shaping her post-Twilight career. She demonstrated her willingness to take risks, to embrace unconventional characters, and to collaborate with visionary filmmakers. She worked with directors like Olivier Assayas, Walter Salles, and Kelly Reichardt, pushing herself beyond her comfort zone and earning critical acclaim for her performances. Kristen Stewart's choices weren't always commercially driven. She prioritized artistic fulfillment over box office numbers, often opting for smaller, more intimate projects that allowed her to delve deep into the complexities of the human condition. This commitment to her craft, this refusal to be pigeonholed, resonated with audiences and critics alike. She became a symbol of authenticity in a world often dominated by manufactured images. She wasn't afraid to be herself, to express her opinions, to challenge expectations. This authenticity, this raw honesty, was perhaps her greatest gift to her fans. She gave them permission to be imperfect, to be vulnerable, to be themselves. The news now is all about her honesty. The latest news today was often focused on her fashion choices, her personal life, and her outspokenness. She defied traditional Hollywood norms, embracing a gender-fluid style and refusing to conform to societal expectations. She spoke openly about her sexuality, becoming an advocate for LGBTQ+ rights. Her courage and conviction inspired countless young people around the world. Kristen Stewart's impact on American indie cinema was undeniable. She was a bridge between the mainstream and the independent world, bringing her star power and her talent to projects that might otherwise have gone unnoticed. She elevated the work of emerging filmmakers and helped to create a space for more diverse and unconventional stories to be told. Watch news, and you would see Kristen Stewart constantly evolving, constantly pushing the boundaries of her craft. She wasn't afraid to experiment, to take risks, to fail. And in her failures, as well as her successes, she taught us something valuable about the human experience. She was a reminder that real emotion isn't always polished, that authenticity is more powerful than perfection, and that true artistry comes from the heart. Her journey, her evolution, her unwavering commitment to her craft. These were the things that defined Kristen Stewart. Showbiz News, Russian Showbiz, and beyond were always watching her. She left behind a legacy of unforgettable performances, of bold choices, and of unwavering authenticity. She remained an inspiration to aspiring actors, to independent filmmakers, and to anyone who dared to be different. This Showbiz News today, and all days, will always remember her. It's funny, you know? People always saw Bella as this damsel, waiting to be rescued. But inside, I was screaming. I remember one day on set, during New Moon, when we were filming the breakup scene. It was freezing, pouring rain, fake rain, of course, but still, and I was supposed to look heartbroken. I was genuinely, not just because of the scene, but because I felt so trapped. Trapped by the expectations, by the image, by the sheer weight of the whole Twilight phenomenon. And Taylor Lautner was trying to be sweet, you know, offering me his jacket, asking if I was okay. And all I could think was, get me out of here. What'd you do in my place? Run away to somewhere remote? I wish I had. After that, I actively started searching for parts that scared me. I needed roles that demanded something more than just looking pretty and being sad. Welcome to the Rileys, for example. I played Mallory, a teenage runaway who was a stripper. It was dark, gritty, and so far removed from Bella that it felt like shedding a skin. I remember sitting down with Jake Scott, the director, and just pouring my heart out about what I wanted to do with the role, how I wanted to make her real, not just a caricature. I was nervous as hell. It was my first time playing a character that needed so much depth. On the Road was another one. That book, it just got under my skin. Mary Lou was everything Bella wasn't. Wild, free, completely uninhibited. We shot in Montreal, I think. And in the end, it wasn't exactly what I expected. A bit of mess. Maybe that was the point. It was a mess, sure, but the spirit of it lived. I was living fast. I remember Garrett Hedlund, Dean, always joking around. He never took himself seriously. What good contrast to me, at the time at least. Showbiz News today, when they wrote about me, mostly wrote about Rob, Pattinson, and me, how we were dating, and how cute we were. It felt so fake, like we were characters in some script. I tried to ignore it, to focus on the work, but it was always there, this constant pressure. Russian Showbiz had that exact same problem, except even worse. Like, I couldn't go out for coffee without it becoming a headline. The hardest part wasn't the fame itself, it was the feeling of being watched, of being judged. Every single thing I did was analyzed, dissected, and turned into a narrative. And most of the time, the narrative was completely wrong. What would it be like to be me? Maybe some people wished for it. I wanted to be invisible. I remember one specific premiere. I think it was for Snow White and the Huntsman. I'm not sure. They were blurring together. I saw a photo of myself on one of the magazines that day and didn't even recognize the person staring back. It wasn't me. It was some version of me, perfected, airbrushed, and completely devoid of any real emotion. That's when I knew I had to make a change. It was a conscious decision to step away from the spotlight, to focus on projects that were meaningful to me, even if they weren't going to make me millions. Clouds of Sils Maria with Juliette Binoche was a turning point. Working with Olivier Assayas was like a masterclass in acting. He challenged me in ways I'd never been challenged before, pushing me to explore the nuances of my own emotions. The script was something like a mirror reflecting my real life. This News Now that followed was a little different, and Personal Shopper was something else entirely. A ghost story, a psychological thriller, a meditation on grief. It was weird, unsettling and deeply personal. I had a moment there, I think. It let me be myself. What if I had rejected it? I don't think I would be the same person. Showbiz news, Russian showbiz, never got to touch that part of my life. I was starting to find my voice, not just as an actor, but as a person. I started to speak out about things I cared about gender equality, about LGBTQ plus rights. It wasn't always easy. I faced criticism, backlash, but I refused to be silenced. News, latest showbiz news, never really appreciated it. The thing is, I realized that fame doesn't have to define you. You can use it as a platform, as a way to amplify your message, to make a difference in the world. And that's what I tried to do. The Watch News world never saw this part. I don't know why. I'm not saying I always got it right. I made mistakes, I stumbled, I learned. But through it all, I stayed true to myself. I never compromised my integrity. And that, more than anything, is what I'm most proud of. The latest news today may have focused on the scandals, the gossip, the superficial stuff. But beneath the surface, there was always something more. There was a person trying to find her way, trying to make sense of the world, trying to leave her mark. I guess the truth is I never really understood the whole celebrity thing. It always felt artificial. But the work, the acting, the storytelling, that was real. That was where I felt alive. That was where I found my purpose. What would you have done differently? Know what I know now? Maybe nothing. Maybe everything. I wouldn't have been that sad, maybe. I think about Spencer a lot. Playing Diana, it was like channeling something. I read everything I could get my hands on. Her letters, biographies, interviews. I watched countless documentaries. I wanted to understand her, not just imitate her. The pressure was immense. Everyone has an opinion about Diana. Everyone thinks they know her. I remember Pablo Larraín, the director, telling me, "Don't be afraid to make it your own." I wasn't trying to be an impersonator. I wanted to capture her essence, her vulnerability, her strength. The film was so much about isolation, wasn't it? Trapped by circumstance. During some scenes in Spencer, I felt like I was her. Showbiz News today probably said I was just acting, but the boundaries were so fluid. The scene at Christmas, when she's tearing at the pearls, that was brutal. The claustrophobia, the sense of being suffocated. I felt it all. I had to give myself a good shake to get out of it at the end of the day. How would you survive that? I don't know. It's the pressure, the never-ending pressure. But it was also exhilarating. It was the kind of role that actors dream of. It demanded everything of me. I had to be vulnerable, strong, fragile, and defiant, all at the same time. It was the hardest thing I've ever done, and also the most rewarding. Watch news clips from that time. They love to pick at it. I was not British. How could I possibly be fit for the role? That bothered me for a second. And then I told myself to shut up. If the director sees it, then who are you to say any different? The film was not really about Diana anyway. It was about the media frenzy surrounding her, and what it can do to a person. Russian showbiz doesn't hold a candle to the American media. But the pressure is the same, I am sure. Even Charlie's Angels. People dismissed it as a fun, silly action movie. But I saw it as something more. It was about female empowerment, about women working together, about challenging stereotypes. We had so much fun making that film. Elizabeth Banks was an amazing director. She created a space where we could be ourselves, where we could experiment, where we could be silly. But it wasn't a success like everyone wanted. The people didn't get it, and it became an easy target. I'm not sure that it was ahead of its time. I'm not even sure if anything like that exists. But it was different. The news now, though, is more accepting, more willing to see something different. Maybe now the film would succeed. Maybe not. News, latest showbiz news, wasn't always kind. So often, they focus on the wrong things. They missed the point. But you know what? It didn't matter. What mattered was the work, the process, the connections I made along the way. The people I met, the stories I told. That's what I'll always cherish. Did I ever feel used? Used by the industry, by the media, by the fans? Sometimes, yeah. But I also learned to protect myself, to set boundaries, to say no. It took me a long time, but I got there. What'd you do to set boundaries? It's so difficult, especially when you're trying to please everyone. In the end, I learned that the only person I needed to please was myself. And that's been the most important lesson of all. Today I just feel lucky. Lucky to have had the opportunities I've had. Lucky to have worked with the people I've worked with. Lucky to have lived the life I've lived. Of course, I would change things if I could. You would. But there's no point in dwelling on the past. The future is what matters. And I'm excited to see what it holds. Movie and showbiz, the business I ended up in, is what it is. Some of it is trash and awful. Some of it is meaningful and exciting. I've been lucky to do both. Mostly, the stuff that meant something to me. I guess that is why people are interested in me still. Showbiz news rush and showbiz might think so too. What's the point of doing something if it doesn't mean anything? So what's? More characters to explore, more boundaries to push, more opportunities to connect with people, to make them laugh, to make them cry, to make them think, and to keep being me as much as the world will let me. Directing. That's something I've been wanting to do for ages. I directed a short film called Come Swim. It was more of an artistic exploration. I wanted to try creating a feeling more than a story. It was really about feeling. I worked with a small crew, people I trusted, people who understood my vision. It was terrifying and exhilarating all at once. I remember being on set, looking through the monitor, and suddenly realizing that I was in charge. That every decision, every choice was up to me. It was a huge responsibility, but it was also incredibly liberating. Watch news, people saw me as a serious actor, but I also like laughing. That's why I liked it on the Charlie's Angels set. What would it be like to direct a feature? Something bigger, something more ambitious? I don't know. Maybe someday. But for now, I'm content to keep learning, to keep experimenting, to keep pushing myself. It takes someone to believe in you, for you to believe in yourself. I've always said it takes a village to raise a child. I think it takes the world to raise an artist. I see directors as the captains of the team. And what a lonely experience it must be. Russian showbiz, American showbiz, I think the loneliness would be the same. The responsibility. I'm fascinated by people, by their stories, their complexities, their contradictions. I love observing them, trying to understand what makes them tick. That's what draws me to acting, and that's what draws me to directing. It's all about empathy, about connection, about trying to understand the human experience. News latest showbiz news can get jaded really quickly. You need to stay grounded and connected to your art. Love Lies Bleeding felt different. A really different role. Lou, a gym manager who falls for a volatile drifter. I did a ton of weightlifting for the part. It was transformative. I got stronger physically and mentally. I had to go really deep into the part, but it also let me have a lot of fun. We did it as a story of queer love. No apologies. No explaining. Just love. Did you see it? I think it was a good movie and showbiz experience. The news now is calling it my best role to date. And maybe it is. I felt free, you know? I felt like I could do anything. Maybe I will be a director one day. I just have to see if I'm ready to jump off that cliff. Movie and showbiz is an up and down career. I am ready for the down times and the pressure if it means I get to be creative. The best thing, I think, is that you can meet new people and travel to new places. You never stay still. Showbiz news Russian showbiz always seems so separate from Hollywood, almost like a different world. But actors are actors, aren't they? We all share the same fears, the same dreams, the same insecurities. It feels like all of us want the same things deep down, despite borders and politics. I don't know why anyone would be an actor just for money. There's so much easier ways to make money. You have to love it, be obsessed with it. And it is something I feel lucky to be able to do. So what's? I like to be surprised. I like to keep my options open. I like to say yes to things that scare me. Because that's where the magic happens. What if I didn't? What would I do with my life? Maybe write, maybe travel, maybe just disappear for a while. But I always come back to the work. I always come back to the acting. It's in my blood. It's who I am. You know, people often ask me if I regret Twilight, if I wish I could go back and change things. And the answer is complicated. It was a huge part of my life. It shaped me in ways I'm still understanding. It opened doors, but it also closed them. It brought me fame and fortune, but also brought scrutiny and judgment. It's a paradox. The film was about a specific kind of love, you know, the kind that consumes you. As a person, I don't know if I fully understand that. But I played it as honestly as I could. As Bella anyway. If I had rejected it, I would be a different person. The latest news was obsessed with the romances in my life at that time. But romance is only a part of my life, not my whole life. What would have happened if I had never dated Rob? Would that have changed the public's attitude towards me? I don't know. Watch news, they don't always show the whole story. But I don't regret it. It was a stepping stone. It allowed me to pursue other things, to take risks, to explore different genres. Without Twilight, I wouldn't have had the freedom to make the choices I've made. And I'm grateful for that. Showbiz News today still talks about that time. I understand it. But hopefully they see that the movie was a starting point. A beginning. It feels like a lifetime ago. Russian showbiz, I bet, has it the same. I never got famous there, but I'm sure the same rules apply. Movie and showbiz are not always kind. I've also learned the importance of surrounding myself with good people. People who support me, who challenge me, who believe in me. My family, my friends, my collaborators. They're the ones who keep me grounded, who remind me of who I am. They're my rock. News' latest showbiz news is always trying to put people in boxes, to define them, to categorize them. He possessed an unusual blend of brute strength and intellectual curiosity. Dolph Lundgren moved with a quiet confidence, his presence commanding attention even before he spoke. There was a thoughtful stillness about him, a sense that beneath the sculpted exterior lay a sharp, analytical mind. He was a man of few words, but when he did speak, his pronouncements were precise, measured, and often surprisingly insightful. He carried himself with a certain stoicism, hinting at a profound inner discipline forged through years of rigorous training and unwavering dedication to his craft. He seemed to defy easy categorization, a warrior scholar, an athlete intellectual, a Hollywood star with a distinctly European sensibility. Where are you watching us from? Write about it in the comments. Please like and subscribe to the channel. Dolph Lundgren's journey began far from the glitz and glamour of Hollywood. Born in Stockholm, Sweden, he was a child who found solace and discipline in the martial arts. From an early age, he excelled in karate, dedicating himself to mastering the sport with unwavering focus. But young Dolph was not just about physical prowess. He possessed a keen intellect, a thirst for knowledge that led him to pursue academic excellence. He excelled in his studies, demonstrating a natural aptitude for science and mathematics. He ultimately earned a master's degree in chemical engineering from the Royal Institute of Technology in Stockholm. This feat alone set him apart from many aspiring actors. He wasn't just muscle and bravado. He was a man of considerable intelligence and academic achievement. This foundation would later inform his choices and contribute to his unique persona in the world of acting. His path took an unexpected turn when he found himself working as a bouncer in New York City. It was there, amidst the vibrant energy of the city, that he encountered the legendary Grace Jones. Their meeting marked a pivotal moment in his life, a catalyst that propelled him toward a different trajectory. He moved to New York with Jones and became her bodyguard and lover. She encouraged him to explore his artistic side, nurturing his nascent interest in acting. This was a time of exploration and self-discovery, a period where he began to shed his inhibitions and embrace the possibilities that lay before him. His first big break came with a small role in the James Bond film A View to a Kill. Although a minor part, it was a crucial stepping stone, offering him a glimpse into the world of filmmaking and fueling his ambition to pursue acting more seriously. The role that catapulted him to international fame was, of course, Ivan Drago in Rocky IV. He embodied the imposing Soviet boxer with chilling intensity, creating an unforgettable villain that resonated with audiences worldwide. He prepared rigorously for the role, honing his physique and immersing himself in the character's cold, calculating persona. The latest news focused on the impact of that performance. He wasn't just playing a bad guy. He was portraying a symbol of the Cold War, a representation of the ideological conflict that gripped the world. This complex portrayal resonated deeply, solidifying his status as a rising star. Following the success of Rocky IV, He became a sought-after action hero, starring in a string of high-octane films that showcased his physical prowess and charisma. He headlined movies like Masters of the Universe, The Punisher, and Red Scorpion, solidifying his place as a major player in the action genre. He brought a unique sensibility to these roles, infusing them with a quiet intensity and a sense of underlying intelligence. Despite his success in action films, he wasn't content to be typecast. He actively sought out roles that challenged him as an actor, exploring different genres and showcasing his versatility. He directed several films himself, demonstrating his ambition and creative vision. He was determined to prove that he was more than just a muscle-bound action star. He was a multifaceted artist with a genuine passion for storytelling. The latest news today frequently touched upon his diverse projects. He continued to act in action films, but he also took on roles in independent